We're recording. You're listening to the Tune Up and Jam podcast. Ready? Go.
Welcome back, everybody. This is episode number 25. Episode 25, Tune Up and Jam podcast.
Tune Up and Jam.
All right, tune up, turn up, get down, and start jamming. Welcome, and Body Galust, Francis.
Body Galus.
Body Galust is welcome in Armenian.
Body Galus.
We haven't done an Armenian word in 24 episodes, so I thought it was about time to pull one out. Because we have many Armenian folks who are neighbors here in Southern California, and I figured Body Galust to them, finally.
You said it.
Yes. So, we're back at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a couple minutes. We were talking about we've been busy, and it's gotten in the way of doing some things that we'd like to do, like podcasting and things like that.
Hey, it wasn't laziness?
It wasn't laziness, although it probably was.
Okay.
At some point. I'm sure we could have found an hour somewhere along the way to do a podcast. But it is difficult because those of you who are still missing Chris Schmoke, he's not out of the picture. He is the busy one. He's the very busy one.
Yeah, for sure.
And we would like to have him back as soon as we can, as would you all, I'm sure. But Chris is just a busy guy, and I see him every so often, and we talk about doing this, and he's just when he gets a chance, he's going to come up here and join us. But
looking forward to that.
In the meantime, Francis and I are going to carry the flag here. Yeah. Keep it going. So what's new, Francis?
Oh, it's very hot here in Los Angeles.
Oh my God, it's like, well, not only is it hell as far as temperature, but I've got this giant Armageddon fire in my neighborhood going on as we speak. So that's been fun.
And no, it hasn't. I'm burning up here. And it's not like, those times when, like, you're from the East Coast. Mm-hmm. When I complain about the cold, when it gets cold here, you just look at me and roll your eyes and, ignore me, basically.
Nobody can roll their eyes at this heat. No. I don't care where you're from. I don't care where you grew up. I don't care where you say, oh, I live where it's hot. This is hot. This is 105 plus temperatures. I think it was 112 a couple of days ago.
I don't know. It's brutal, man.
And yeah, maybe that's like Vegas weather, but even there, that's hot. So it's been hot here. And you know what? Speaking of the East Coast, it reminds me of actually in the wintertime. One thing I don't miss about winters back in the East Coast is that you are holed up in your house because it's too cold to go outside sometimes. Mm. It's not always like that, not every single day, but a good majority of the time, it's just too cold to go out. You don't want to go outside. That's this now. You're stuck in your house because it's too hot. I mean, you can go outside, but it's not comfortable whatsoever. So it's miserable.
When the sun goes down, what I was doing a few nights in a row here is like taking my guitar, sitting outside, doing some practicing, like, of course, a long time after the sun goes down, and there's like a slight breeze.
Yeah. How does it get up here on your little mountain here? It gets a little cooler?
A little bit.
Yeah, because where I'm at, it's still hot outside even at night.
But it's nice to take the guitar, sit outside, just jam.
It would be nice to live near the ocean right now.
Yeah.
But as it is, we decided to live where it's really hot.
Okay, hey, enough complaining about
I know. What are we doing? This is supposed to be a podcast about musical type things.
And also, we're supposed to be more grateful than we are. We're sounding.
I know. Listen to us complaining. Yeah. We really don't have problems.
No, we don't.
So anyway, we both had mentioned the VMAs earlier today, but we didn't discuss anything about them. Should we?
I don't know.
I mean, is it worth it?
I don't know. One observation I had was they would go. I didn't watch the whole thing, but a couple moments that I'd caught, they would start a music performance, and in the middle of somebody performing, they would just cut to commercial. I thought that was the weirdest thing.
So
is it just me?
I didn't watch any of it.
Okay.
I didn't see any of it. I read some headlines about it and maybe a story or two.
Really?
So I'm not really familiar with what
I just
talking
thought
about.
that was
sounds
weird.
It sounds like, isn't that what they're supposed to do? Is feature performers?
That's what I thought. But
kind of like the Grammys and everything.
Yeah, it kind of bugs me how it's like radio stations when they talk over the music.
Yeah.
Right before the vocals come in.
Right.
They're sitting there, just yakking away, and it's like, I wasn't really into that. So when I saw that cutting to commercial real quick, my first thought was, okay, well, what was that about? You know?
Did they do that with every band? Like every performer?
No. Again, I didn't watch the whole thing, but a couple moments that I caught, that was just my observation. I basically had it on, you know, I was doing some other things, and then somebody would come on, introduce somebody, of course, so I didn't know. So I figured, all right, who's this person? Then, like, just really like a minute into it, then they'd cut to commercial. I was like, oh, okay. That's strange. Yeah.
It's weird because, well, back in the day, I mean, that was the cool thing to watch, the VMAs, and you were able to see some cool performances of whatever, you know, was big at the time, or something that you could get turned on to that you didn't really know. But we're talking 20, 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah, we are talking a different generation now.
Yeah.
So are we the old fogies or something?
Well, I guess. I mean, that's how it goes, right?
Yeah. Well, what'd you read about it?
Well, here's what I literally put on my little notes here when I put down to talk about it. I put sad state of MTV VMAs, because everything I read about it, well, the big thing that I read about it was the ratings, how many people watched it. It was like half as many as last year. And since I think this year they said there was like 5 million viewers. Last year was like over 10. And then maybe I think in 2012 or 11 or something, like it was like a 14 million or something like that. So it's been steadily going down.
Okay.
At a pretty decent rate too. Is it dead?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't think we're the authority to give opinion on that, being that we don't really watch those especially the VMAs on a regular basis. But you know, especially in today's world, all the content or the sources of content that you can go to, it's not just TV. You know, it's online and everything. You know, you could stream things, and
well, that's where it is at now.
Yeah,
I mean, TV's going in a
basically on demand.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's just something so, I don't know. It was, like I said, it was the cool thing back in the day, and now I don't know if I necessarily see any use for it anymore. One, because, well, I mean, MTV doesn't even show music. It's a completely different type of channel than it used to be.
Yeah.
And if they're, what you saying, they're cutting to commercials anyway, when there is actual music and performances, what's the point?
I don't
and you
know.
can see all these other videos on different streams. It's not like MTV's pushing these things. Who are they the authority to give any awards for anymore anyway? That's what they were. They were videos.
Yeah.
Music videos and music. And now they don't do that. So who are they the authority to give any awards to?
I don't know. YouTube seems to be the go-to place.
And there are YouTube awards.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's YouTube Music Awards. But they should take it over.
Yeah, but any artist you want to see the music video, I mean, the first place you'd go is YouTube.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, by far. Any video.
Yeah.
It's
you want to repair something on your house? Go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Go learn how to.
That's true. That's true. Anything. How to peel some garlic. Whatever. It just came off my head.
Yeah, how to learn a song in just a few minutes when you don't want to spend the time to just learn it by ear? Sure. And then you realize the person who is doing the lesson had it incorrect anyways.
Yeah. Well, but the other thing is, even if you wanted to learn it by ear, go to YouTube because you'll find the song.
Yeah.
So either find how to do it, how to play it, or just listen to it. It's great. YouTube's great.
I love YouTube.
It is great.
It's one of my It's one of my favorite sites. So
yeah, it's cool. And speaking of learning songs, I had something. This is a little transition into something different.
All right,
that's something I'm talking about. Interesting that happened to me about a week and a half ago. 2 days in a row, I got these random phone calls to play.
Okay.
One of them was sax player that we played with, Dan.
Yeah.
He called and asked if I was available to play, and wasn't really. He didn't really leave much in the message, but I was thinking probably knowing this guy, he's a sax player. He plays a lot of jazz. It would probably be jazz, and I gotta say I was a little nervous.
Why is that?
This is gonna become a therapy session.
Okay. All right, I'll hear you out.
Yeah. Well, I was a little nervous because...
Wait, sit down on the couch. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm on the couch. Yeah, I'm already prepared for this.
Okay.
That's why we had so much trouble with the microphone in the beginning. I needed to get comfortable for this therapy session.
All right.
This was before we started recording.
All right. So you get nervous.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if it's nervous, but there was a little bit of an anxiety or something inside me because I knew there was going to be something dealing with jazz. It was probably going to be jazz, and I haven't spoken to him in a long time, so I was thinking this might be like an emergency situation too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we need a drummer who plays jazz. Can you do it like tomorrow or tonight or whatever it was? You know,
I know you play all kinds of styles, but I take it then jazz isn't one of the ones that you do on a regular basis.
Right. I haven't done it for a while, and you know, jazz cats are picky too. You know, I mean, they're super quality players out there, and it's kind of one of those things. If you haven't done it for a while,
mm-hmm.
you know, you need the chops to keep up with some really good players out there. I mean, I'm pretty confident in my abilities, but that's the one area that I haven't played in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you know, it's also in your head, you know, in my head. But anyway, so I don't think nervous is the right way. It's too strong to say nervous, but a little bit like, all right, here we go. I'm gonna have to kind of suck this up or whatever if it happens, you know.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking, well, is this going to be a paid gig? What is this going to be? I needed more information.
Uh-huh.
Turns out it wasn't a paid gig. It was just for a jam session, right? And so I'm not sure if I went about this the right way. I declined to play because I think in my mind when it became known that it was not a paid situation, that let me off the hook.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can I ask you something though? How much notice were you given? How much?
Oh, that night. It was that night too.
Oh, okay.
It was. We're playing tonight.
Day.
Yeah, we're playing tonight.
Oh, okay, I get you.
You know, we're playing at somebody's place. There's a drum set there. All you got to do is bring your cymbals. Like, there was no reason for me to say no, other than like I said, I wanted just to not. I was too nervous to do it or something like that. That would be one reason to say no. Or B, it's not a paid situation. Why am I going to go over there when I got other things going on in my life that I have to take care of?
Right.
Well, I went with B.
All right. Yeah. You had other things. Yeah.
But I'm not sure if I did it the right way because I let me off the hook. Do you know what I mean? I've established that I had a little bit of anxiety about it.
Okay. Well, no. Well, you've admitted to us that you had, and that was kind of so. In a way, you were kind of searching for a way out, maybe.
I think maybe kind of.
All right. And just straight up being honest, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I can kick myself now because, what if it was a paid situation? Then what? I would have taken it. Okay.
Right.
And I would have still had the same kind of maybe apprehension about it. But then I would have been at a live situation where I would have had to perform well or pretty well with other experienced musicians, you know. Whereas this non-paid gig, I could have just shown up and jammed and got some chops out of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I kind of got back into it, met a couple of guys.
And it could have been a learning experience if those songs were the ones that pushed you to go outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, all of that. I mean, it could have just got me back into it, met some people, got me back into got me out of my comfort zone, but back into it again. But yet I didn't do it. So I'm kind of a little annoyed with myself for doing that.
All right. Well,
and I'm sure, you know, the anxiety and apprehension is only in my head. I'm sure. I mean, these guys. I mean, well, I actually only knew the sax player who called me. I don't know anybody else there, but there was going to be a full setup. There was going to be trumpet,
right,
a whole ensemble: bass, guitar, piano, trumpet, sax.
Yeah, and knowing that we've played Dan. Dan's a great player.
He's
too.
great.
Yeah,
great. He's awesome. Well, so that's kind of what it.
Well, so then
because I know he does it a lot. He plays a lot, and he plays with a lot of cats, and so good.
Those cats would be good.
Yeah. And knowing jazz musicians, because I've played in jazz ensembles with jazz musicians, they're good. And I've been playing not jazz for so long that it just kind of got me a little, under a little apprehension.
Because I think one thing that everybody should always go by, just in general, when you're whatever it is you're doing, whatever craft you're doing, aren't you supposed to spend time with people that are better than you.
Yes. Yes.
You know.
Yes. And grow and get out of your comfort zone and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I passed up the perfect opportunity to do it.
Okay.
And I'm somewhat annoyed with myself
Mm-hmm.
because I passed it up. Because I mean, think about it. Like I said, if I would have taken a paid gig, I would have been on the spot to play well and to go in there and do my best. I'm sure they would have expected me not to be perfect, you know.
Right.
But then I had this opportunity to just jam and just
Right.
get out the kinks,
Right. And then,
see where I am, gauge my level,
Mhm.
see if they want to call me back for a paid gig in the future, set myself up for whatever in the future. You know what I mean? See
Yeah.
Dan again because he's a good dude, nice
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, so let's recap kind of like what we think is or are the best reasons to take a gig. Number one, okay, let's just say money.
Mhm.
Wasn't there, that's okay.
Right.
Number two, experience. Right? That could have been a great experience.
Yeah.
Another reason is
Well, let's clarify. It wasn't a gig. It was just a jam session.
okay,
Anyway,
but still.
right.
But
It's
the experience of
yeah.
especially jamming tunes that you're not familiar with,
Correct.
or maybe it's a little bit out of your comfort zone. Maybe. Who knows? Here's the thing: you don't know.
It's just
Don't really
I wasn't certain of how much rust I have,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't.
So there was the doubt
I
there.
guess
Self-doubt.
there was a little bit of doubt in exploring that, opening that garage door and seeing what kind of rust has accumulated.
Right.
You know what I mean?
All right. So another reason would be meeting new people or, strengthening connections.
Right.
All right. That could have been there.
Yep. No, it could
yeah.
have been. It was.
All right. Well, it was. Yeah. Well, there you go. Another
And
reason.
these guys all play. They play regularly at various gigs.
Mhm. And then if nothing else, if none of those reasons apply, could it have been fun? Just simple fun. You know?
I think after, is it a paid gig? No.
Mm-hmm.
All the other boxes would be checked yes.
All right. So, yeah, it sounds like you let this slip through your
I
hands.
did.
And,
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
yeah okay.
And I'm still kind of annoyed with myself, but I wanted to bring it up and be like completely honest here. You know what I mean? To share
Right.
because that's an experience. That's a complete experience I had that hopefully somebody else can learn from, and I will learn from. And by the way, I did learn quickly because I got called for another gig later, like the next day, for something different, completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of redeemed myself, I think, a little bit because I took it, you know. But it was a friend that I know I've played with. He just has a cover band, you know, and he
Mhm.
I play with him every so often.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me on Friday of last week. He's getting married the next day, right? And I knew this, but I'm not friends enough with him to be invited to the
Okay.
wedding, you know. But we're cool, you know, and everything. But he leaves a message and he says, "I need a drummer for tomorrow. The band that I hired, it's really like kind of a makeshift band, a bunch of his friends who are
Yeah.
playing together. The drummer thought the wedding was Friday, but it was actually on Saturday, and he had something completely different booked for Saturday, and he wasn't actually going to make it to the wedding. So he was panicking. He needs a drummer for his wedding band on Saturday. So
And when did he call you?
Friday.
He
I needed
He
to
needed
be
somebody the next day.
the next day, within 24 hours, less than 24 hours I had, yeah. And fortunately, I knew the bassist. I had played with him once or twice before. I knew him, but at the time that he called and asked me to play, I didn't know who was going to be in it at all.
Right.
But I'll still tell you that anxiety came to me for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
going, because I'm obviously, if you're going into something unknown
Mhm.
with unknown people, everything, you're going to get that initial, oh my God, what am I getting into? Oh, who's going to be there? You know what I mean? Like a little bit of anxiety or something.
Right.
And that did creep in, but I didn't let it. I was like, I'm going to do this no matter what. You know, I'm not going to do the same thing I did 2 days ago. You know,
So that was part of your motivation too, is to redeem yourself,
right,
at least in your own head.
right. But you know, it was also a friend of mine. I wasn't going to say no.
Mm-hmm.
I know the
He
music.
was in a bind.
He was in a bind. I know the music that he plays the style of music he plays and everybody he plays with plays.
If I can interrupt, so
Yeah.
we can add that as another reason to take a gig, right? It's like, all right, it's not paid. Maybe the fun factor isn't going to be there. Maybe the connections. All right, maybe it's not there. In the end, if you're going to help somebody out, help a friend out.
Yeah. That was the reason to do it. Yeah,
that's legit.
Yeah, and redemption.
But nobody knows that but you.
Yeah, nobody knows that. Well, now people.
Now everybody
hear
knows.
this yeah. But yes, I did. I took that gig, not knowing who I was really playing with. I did talk to, obviously you make a couple phone calls that night. You find out what they're going to be playing, generally a set list or a type of music they want to hear.
Right.
Luckily, it's more in what I'm much more comfortable with at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So it went great. Everything was fine. You know what I mean? Everybody was happy. He called me a couple days after the wedding. Was very thankful. Said everybody had complimented the sound of the band and everything they played.
In particularly the drums, right?
Well, I guess that's why I got paid extra. No,
good deal.
no, I was actually it was for minimal amount of money too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but it didn't matter.
It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. But it felt good. But I still can't get out of my head what I did turn down and why I did it. Because if me being me, when it's always I'm critical of myself, I'm looking at this going, hey, you went with your comfort zone. You knew that was going to be easy to do. You know the music. You know some of the people who are going to be there, the friends. So it was more of a comfort level thing, and I took it, which is fun. That's what I should do. But
yeah.
It's just...
Well, yeah, I totally get it. There are times when opportunities come up and you're really on the fence of, in the end, you could easily go one direction, take a gig, or you could be a little bit, lazy, intimidated, stick into your comfort zone, whatever it is. You could easily go that way. It's almost like just one little factor would sway you either way.
Yeah.
You just made a choice, and that's the way it went, and you found yourself regretting it. But hey, but the fact that I think it's eating at you enough so that next time something comes up, I think you'll make a different decision.
Well, for sure. Because I mean, for the most that's bothering me is just how unprofessional that felt to me for myself to do that. You know what I mean? I was like, that's really lame and very unprofessional to do that.
Yeah.
I've been playing music,
and here's the thing, not unprofessional to those that are requesting you. It's more unprofessional for your own what is that? Musicianship or your whatever. I'm finding the words here. You know what I mean? But I'm saying more for yourself.
But also for my own mindset, you know what I mean? For what I believe what a professional should be.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was a basketball player, a professional basketball player, whoever would call me, whatever team would call me, there's nothing that would get in my way to stop me.
You'd have scheduled games. You'd have scheduled...
True, but,
Yeah, I know. But being, a musician for hire, sometimes you get those last-minute gigs, and... It's one of those cases where you're on the fence, and
fortunately it wasn't a paid gig, so if it was, I would have taken it. That's the other thing. I would have been professional enough to take it if it was paid.
Yeah, but don't beat yourself up too much.
But I'm being honest and saying the reason I didn't take it is because it wasn't paid, but I used that kind of an excuse to get out of a comfort level.
All right. So
you know what I mean?
So in the end, you can say this a billion different ways, but in the end, it was because it was out of your comfort level. That's really what it was.
Yeah, but there was a little bit of the whole pay thing.
But
I mean, the whole I didn't want to. I had stuff going on that day, and then I wanted to race home and then go just to go jam at a house, and didn't at that moment on that day didn't kind of give me a spark that much.
All right,
also,
so
there's a couple other things.
Okay, so whatever then. All right.
But being me and being critical, I go to the one thing that I really am bothered by and making it big.
But, like we said, it's enough that it bothers you to make a different decision next time.
Correct.
Yeah, there you go. It's about growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't expect yourself to be, making all the best decisions all the time. Sometimes, whatever your gut tells you.
That's...
and if you went against your gut because of something, well, all right, so be it. But now it's eating at you. All right, lesson learned.
Right, and don't think that I'm I've been sitting here for a week and a half, kind of sitting on the couch going, "Oh my god!" You know.
Yeah, you have.
But I mean, when I it's true. No, but when I think about it, it comes back to me. I'm like,
yeah.
Nah. That's how I feel.
Yeah, you know what? I think one of the coolest things is when you have those opportunities to grow.
Yeah.
You know, all right, you know, you missed out on something. That could have been good. Could have been, you know, because as we all know, you know, doing what we do, and especially like just last minute gigs sometimes come up. You don't think it's going to be anything good, but for whatever reason, you take a gig, and from that gig would lead to so many other things. It could mean more gigs. It could mean you met the coolest person who's, you know, your future, you know, best friend for life. And, you know, so many things could happen and have happened by opportunities that you just didn't rationalize out.
Right.
You know, so you can't overthink it.
Right. I know. But, I don't know. It also bothers me to think, I've been playing music for, I was 9 years old when I first started playing. I started on the trumpet. So over 30 years I've been playing music.
Mm-hmm.
Drums I've been playing for about 30 years. I should have taken a gig. You know what I mean? I should be comfortable at this point going, sure.
Yeah.
Then on the flip side, you could take some professional who plays in a rock band. Let's say Dave Grohl. He plays drums. Some jazz ensemble calls him. Would he be comfortable doing it? He's a professional. You know what I mean?
I guess especially if most of your gigs are in particular genres that, you know, that are easy to kind of go bounce in between or among them, but when you start going off on something, I mean, jazz it can be very particular.
It's its own thing, man.
You know,
yeah, it can be very particular, and it's its own thing. And I'm sure it probably wasn't like avant-garde jazz or even like post-boppers. I think it was more like real book stuff, which is even.
Yeah, you could have done that.
I know. See, I know. I'm hoping Dan doesn't listen to this. I'm gonna have to call him up and tell him I'm available.
Exactly. Just hit him up and let him say, "Hey, you know, you just didn't take the gig for whatever, but keep you in mind." You know.
Well, I turned him down. You know, I said I couldn't make it politely, and because I did have things going on. You know what I mean, and I would have been able to make it, but I would have had to have rearranged some stuff. You know what I mean?
You know,
like
you're just digging a little deeper into your psyche.
I know.
That's what it is.
I know.
Yeah.
But you know, if this is the kind of thing that's bothering me, I guess things aren't too bad for me these days.
No, not at all.
If that's the thing that's eating away at me.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good. It's good information, or it's good stuff for the podcast, I guess.
Yeah. So does it make you?
You're gonna keep this going.
Huh?
You're gonna keep this going and start digging yourself.
No. I guess what I'm trying to, what the thing in the back of my mind is, okay, this thing came up, right?
Yeah.
All right, you know, you have somebody who could potentially call you for jazz gigs.
Right.
Does it make you go want to, you know, go home and practice certain things? Yeah.
I guess. I haven't thought of that, so probably no. It doesn't. It doesn't make me go, I should probably just go and that rust I was talking about, just be proactive and preemptive and just go start working. It hasn't made me want to do that, so I'm probably
no.
Probably no.
No, because I mean people react to those things differently.
I mean, I'll just be honest. I do enjoy playing with a jazz ensemble, and you know, those guys are so good and fun to play with, and there's almost no difficulty in it. You know, the only difficulty comes from yourself. You know, because everybody else is so on. You know.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Me knowing you, or at least in the context of how we've been playing together for a while, you're not a big fan of drum solos.
No.
Playing drum solos.
Right. Well, I mean, that didn't really factor into this decision. But you're right. I don't like playing drum solos. I think they're boring. I mean, I'm probably one of a handful of drummers who think that drum solos are boring. Keith Moon hated them, so I'm in good company there. But
I love drum solos.
They just bore me, you know. Unless it's, you know, like there's a handful I like, you know. There's some here and there, but I don't know. I don't practice them. I don't like them. I don't like to listen to them. I know people like them. That's the problem. I know that people like them, and bands that you play in will want you to take one, but I'm never really prepared for one. And
I just figured in jazz, it's like everybody's featured on solos,
Right.
Quite often, and you know how the solos go around each of the guys. So I always figured, all right, well,
and mine would suck at this point. I know that for a fact, because I mean, suck relative to the players who would be, taking awesome solos. And stuff like that.
now you're making you're going into something a little more like you're projecting all that, what you expect it to be, what you think it could be.
Maybe.
And,
Maybe, but ultimately, I mean, I enjoyed, like I was back to my point, what I was saying before. I enjoy playing with these good players, and who can, and I said, like, it's easy, and everything comes down to you being prepared or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not them. It's not a thing like that. But I will honestly say that I don't have that much fun playing jazz.
well, there you go too.
You know?
See? You know what?
It's. I mean, compared to other things I like to do,
Mhm.
jazz isn't my favorite thing to play.
Right.
Especially real book stuff is kind of, it's real book stuff, and it's,
we'll leave that open to interpretation.
Yeah. So there's several things, I mean, It's almost like you're not supposed to admit that jazz is kind of like not that fun, because everybody, it's good players play jazz, and it's it's classical American music, and all that kind of stuff. But it's personal tastes. I have more fun playing other stuff.
And that's what it is too, because I totally get, I love jazz, and I totally get the experience of either playing it or just listening to it. It's a whole nother thing,
Right.
But it is its own.
And you gotta, to me, I shouldn't say anybody, but I gotta be in a kind of a mindset. You gotta catch me at a time for jazz too.
Yeah.
I'm not a just throw on some jazz and listen to it, or hey, let's play some jazz right now. Or somebody says, hey, let's play jazz song. Okay, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta kind of be. You gotta catch me, and I don't know when that would be. You just gotta catch me in it.
Certainly wasn't recently.
And it wasn't recently. It wasn't that day. So
That's cool.
But there will be a day, when it does happen.
All right. So what kind of stuff are you into now? Like, what would pique your interest?
I have been doing like jam bandy type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've recently started getting a little bit back into some prog stuff.
Okay.
Just touching on a little bit of Genesis here and there, and some Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And remembering how fun that is. And I want to start, that's what's been piquing my interest in, to start practicing again.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is that if somebody called me right now and said, do you want to be like in a prog rock band, or a Genesis or Yes type of cover band, let's say, I'll be all about it. And I wouldn't feel intimidated. That initial anxiety probably wouldn't hit me. I'd be stoked about it. And you want to talk about players.
Yeah.
Players in prog rock bands, I mean, it's the same kind of, it's jazz musicians, the same idea, they're quality, hardcore, like, they're players. And I would go right for it. I'd probably do it. I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. And the reason I started, and you're probably thinking, what all of a sudden sparked that? There was a band that I saw a couple of weeks ago, local band. I saw them in Hermosa Beach.
Mm-hmm.
They're called WTFB.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't stand for What the F Band,
Mm-hmm.
but people call them that anyway.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But they do a lot of this proggy stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this would be fun.
I was gonna ask you. Well, the reason why I was asking you, because I've been into that kind of similar mindset too, where how, all right, let's say we get together, we do some songwriting and stuff, and and for the most part, it could, for I don't know, lack of a better term, it could have been straightforward. A lot of the straightforward things that we put together, riffs and stuff. I'm in this mood of just really stepping outside of all that, stepping outside the norm. And pushing the envelope a little bit. All right, so we should do that.
Yeah, sounds good to me. But who knows? Who knows what'll happen? But that's what I've been playing and or into most recently.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and a lot of that too. What I appreciate about those types of bands too is, I mean, it could have a lot of structure, but within that structure, you can have that freedom for improvisation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. But speaking of playing and being into stuff, you know what happened to me the other? Well, actually today it happened to me. Do you have Spotify? Or I mean,
do.
would you play with
Yeah.
iTunes, Spotify, whatever?
Yeah.
You don't need to pull it up or anything.
No, I'm not. Just making sure we're still recording.
Yeah, it'd be kind of silly to be sitting here talking to each other through microphones. Hey, Francis, I'm on a microphone. Can you hear me? Is it recording?
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah.
Right. Quality producing over there, Francis. Not knowing if you're recording or not.
Hey, you know, you're not paying me here.
I know. It's true. Anyway, Spotify. I have Spotify.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's just like iTunes is the same way. You just put on random play, whatever. Right?
I don't know. I haven't used iTunes in that way. Spotify has been pretty much the go-to. Where
Yeah.
you know, it's random. Remember, it started with Pandora,
Right.
and then Spotify allowed you to choose or actually go to particular songs that you
Yeah.
wanted to, and that's why I kind of made that jump.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can also save songs on Spotify so that you can play them off
Yeah.
if you have the membership.
Right.
And you can, just randomly play whatever you have in your saved on your Spotify.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming I think iTunes is the same way. And there's the other one. What is it? Wave or something? The one that Jay-Z owns.
Tidal
Wave.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
thing.
I made a connection. It's something that's happened. I have a ton of music in there, so it doesn't happen often. But a couple of times, some things that I've played on,
Mhm.
some former bands,
Yeah.
our band, will pop up. I just think it's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Like I
Just
don't know,
like
but
in the shuffle.
yeah,
in the
in a
mix of-
shuffle,
in the
yeah,
radio.
yeah. Like because it's weird because you don't listen to your own music all that much.
Right.
You know, after you record it, you don't really you play it a lot,
Mhm.
but you don't necessarily sit and listen to what you've done.
Yeah.
And there's one band that I was in way back in I want to say it was 2002 or 3 that we recorded,
Mm-hmm.
and it's obviously since disbanded.
Right.
Wasn't necessarily the nicest or the most friendliest disbandment of the
Uh-huh.
group.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but within a couple
Yeah.
of members. You know what I mean?
Hey, it only takes one.
Right, right. But the person who kept that band
Mm-hmm.
going, kept the name and everything, that CD is up on Spotify.
Okay.
And I found it one day, and a long time ago, just saved it all because I'm on it. You know what I mean? I
Right,
played
right,
on
right.
it. And I never really sat and listened to it. Even after I found it, I was like, oh, cool, that's nice to see. I just saved it, knowing that it would pop up on a random here or there. So that pops up, and that's old. That's, like I said, that's about 15 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one we did together, Jesse popped up today. Jesse's
wow.
a song that we played together while I was at the gym. And I was just like, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, whether you see some people
This is your
or not-
life,
yeah,
right?
like whether you see some people or not, whether you talk to them or whether it ended in a certain way, it's still pretty cool because you go back to those moments
Mm-hmm.
in your life. You remember those sessions. You remember those writing, the writing and the rehearsals and the people who were there, and it's just kind of cool. And I don't know. I was just thinking, you got to make sure you record what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're an artist. Record what you're doing.
Exactly. That's a good
You
point.
know.
That was recorded here, in fact, too.
Yeah, I know.
Whole different configuration, but yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So
Inside
I was
these four
thinking
walls.
like where I was in this room when we were recording that. Who was standing there watching me, through the glass, and
Yeah, that's a real good lesson for artists. I think is just do what you can to record yourself, and if you don't even have to save up a lot of money to go into a studio or buy expensive gear or whatever, even if you don't know how to use it. At some point, I'm sure you run into somebody who's willing to record you, for free. If not, I mean, if you really get down to it, I mean, get a mic, sit in your bedroom and record.
make demos.
Make demos. Oh my God.
Whoa! What is going on here? Hey, 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 hey!
I don't think the rest of the. I don't think everybody heard that one.
No,
That was on its own track. Sorry. We just got blasted with some music, some theme music. What I was going to say was, talking about, getting into like prog stuff or just outside the norm. I was going through a lot of my iPhone memos or recordings, and I've been assembling them, and just the fact that I had recorded those things at that moment, it's critical because like whatever riff that came up, I always think there's no way I would just sit here and I don't know how that came about, but thank God I recorded it on my phone at the moment.
yeah,
And now it's like, thank God I have all these riffs and all these little ideas that I could assemble. Because, like I said, sitting here now, it's just like, where did that come from?
right. So many people who write songs, it's this thing that pops into their head. They sing it or hum it or play it into a recorder or their phone or whatever it is, and then forget it.
Yeah.
And then visit it. They rediscover it. Could be years down the road. They go, oh my God, where'd that come from? I forgot about that. And it turns into a song.
And I've had, I'm sure we've all had experiences where like I would be sitting with my guitar noodling and thinking, oh, I think this is a pretty cool idea. But I just didn't record it. But I think, oh yeah, I'll remember this. And then for some strange reason, the next day, it's like, what in the world was that?
Well, the other thing is, even if, let's say you record it, you might not even be crazy about it, but it's something you just record or whatever.
Right.
Somebody else might hear that in your band, one of your band members or something, and they you know what, I like that. Let's do something with that, or let's change it just slightly to this. That gives them an idea.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, just record.
Yeah.
Even if something that happened to us recently, even if it's something that turns out that you're not crazy about,
yeah,
it's still a recording, I guess,
Yeah, things can be done. Well, basically, we're talking about it wasn't our music necessarily, but we were a part of a production. Yeah, it's good to hear. Well, I should say, if nothing else, the experience of what we went through.
Right.
It's always good to grow.
Yeah.
But in the end, somebody releases it. It's a snapshot in time.
Yep.
Whatever it was, and good, bad, or whatever. It's something that it's just like a picture. There's a lot of bad pictures out there, and especially nowadays. But at some point you might appreciate that in the future. Yeah. But kind of on that line, I think it's good if you have a vision to really push for that end product to be what your vision is, or as close to it as possible. Because when you have so many people involved in a project, you got to be careful about people you pulling left, right. It might sound this way, that way, but whoever has that vision to what's the word? Manifest it, in a tangible product, that would be a great thing. It's just there's just so many people that have different ideas about it, and I think in our case, we had different ideas about how this product would have sounded completely different.
Yeah,
So.
I think that's an understatement, but still,
Yeah,
it's a snapshot. It's
Yeah.
our work, at least parts of it, and it's nice to have,
yeah,
a snapshot in time. Maybe as a 15 years down the road, like this other one, it might pop up in a playlist. And you go, oh, yeah, all right, I remember that.
Or you might instead of saying that, you might pop up in it. You'll cringe.
Yeah, it could be, but you know what? It's still me. It's still me on there. I'm listening to myself.
It's like people when they look at old photos and look at their hairstyle.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's exactly what it's like, actually. If you think about it, you can look at yourself and be like, oh, God, what was I thinking? Whatever. But you still can remember at least that time period. But that
Right.
wasn't the only thing going on in your life, wasn't your hairstyle. Things you were younger, things were going on. Maybe that's around the time you met somebody, whatever it was,
Yeah.
So,
So, if anything, I take two things from this episode. Number one, step out of your comfort zone. Be willing to.
yeah,
And number two, record.
record. Do we have time for anything else?
I don't know.
We have,
You can always save it for the next one.
Well,
unless you got something else to talk about. You're still on the couch.
It can be quick. Yeah, I'm still on the couch. It's not about me though this time.
Okay.
You mentioned talking about recording, and you said even if you have whatever gear you have, whatever gear you mentioned gear. That's what made me think about this because I wrote this down too. I said that I've seen Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Chris isn't with us right now, but he'll be back.
He's with us in spirit. He's always with us in spirit.
He's always with us in spirit, and he will be here in person eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, saw him. He's got another new bass, right?
Okay.
And before that, not too much before that, he bought a new bass cabinet. Not long before that, he had bought another bass. He's loading up on gear.
Okay. I was saying, by the way, I got a new guitar. I'll share with you.
I was just about to say, you do this too.
Okay.
I'm curious because I'm not a gearhead like that.
Okay.
I've got my equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I play drums.
Mm-hmm.
I have drums. I'm okay with that. I do have a couple of different snares,
Okay. So,
but
right.
I don't. And I have, I'll pick up here and there like a little percussion instrument or something. But I don't actively go out and go, okay, I need something else. I want to get something. What is it?
You're a drummer.
I'm a drummer. It's not, my question isn't necessarily about gear itself. What is it that makes people want to get more? Is it, and I guess this probably is something similar to any field. It could be comics. It could be, sports, whatever it is.
I can only speak for myself, but it's that whole thing of when you're chasing a sound, it's probably a two-part thing. Number one, you're chasing a sound that you haven't yet achieved, and so you're exploring, the possibilities of this gear and that gear. Then you hear about a new piece of gear that, could be interesting, and so you want to play with those colors. So if you're chasing it, that's one thing. And number two, it could be that whole experimental side. It could be that curiosity of let's say colors, right? The equivalent of, sound colors. It's like, what does this do? This is another texture. Well, this is cool. This isn't actually, it's interesting or inspiring. Let me, see what I could do with this. Or it could be a feel thing, especially, with guitars or basses. It's a feel thing on the neck. And it's like, there's something about this particular, feel that I really like, and I enjoy playing it. Now, of course, you could be, stuck with one, and do whatever you want to do with that. But it's just that whole variety is the spice of life thing. I think.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But what comes into my head when you say the feel of something, and then you go and buy something new.
Well, like for example, me. I haven't been looking for a lot. Once I found one of my guitars is a Music Man guitar that I just love the feel. So it's not like I feel like I need anything else. But that's in particular, that's an electric guitar. Mm-hmm. But what about I want different textures. I want to find another acoustic. Another pedal that has another color. It's not. It's not necessarily a need, but it's also about curiosity or inspiration too. About the changing sounds and.
Yeah, I get that. I can certainly understand that, especially in the guitar world, when you when you got effects and you got all these different
especially
things
with electronics.
With electronics. Yeah.
For a perfect acoustic drum, or let's just say you hit that tom or your kick or your snare, and it gives you what you want. Outside of recording and producing a lot of sound effects, that's essentially what it is. And that could be applicable to acoustic guitars as well. You find that acoustic or any other acoustic instrument. You find that instrument that you like, that's fine. But at least in our world, when we start playing with electric guitars and with pedals, with amps, everything makes a slightly different, different sound and the character. So you're playing with those combinations all the time.
Right. All right.
And it's just...
I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it's fun getting new toys all the time. Well, not to mention...
correct. Of course it's nice to get new things, but it's not about getting new things. It's about a particular flavor of sound,
right,
or a particular feel. That's really more what it's about. It's not it's not a I don't think it's a psychological thing of trying to satisfy
Right.
that newness.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's that for some people.
Of
Some
course,
people.
I guess.
But there's nothing wrong with that if that's what drives them. That's just never been something that's driven me. I love the way my drums sound. You know, I love the way they feel.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way they look. Notice I said love, and then like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
I
going to
wonder
read
what's
into
up with
this.
that. Yeah, really. Huh. I love the way they look. Do I?
Or do you?
Or did I just force that? But it doesn't matter because I love the way they sound and I love the way they feel.
Mhm.
I've never felt that I needed some new sound with it. I love the way when I play them, especially in certain rooms. You know how it is when you go into a different. It's usually about the room, you know, unless you're recording, then it's about the technical stuff that goes with it. But in certain rooms, man, I'm so in love with it that I never feel that I got to get new gear. This isn't big enough. You know, that's a lot of things with drummers that need more toms, more this. Need a double kick. I need this.
Yeah.
I need more cymbals. I need a big crash cymbal. I need a gong. You know, I've never. I love people like Buddy Rich.
Okay.
Here we go back to jazz. Speaking of jazz, and solos,
Right.
the two things that I already established, I'm not either necessarily crazy about or don't like at all. You know,
Yeah.
I love Buddy Rich. You know, and
Go figure.
Yeah, his setup was about as minimal as you can get,
Right.
and he's pretty much the consensus best drummer of all time.
Right.
You know, to me, well, I guess in my field, it's the player, not the.
I think
not
it always is.
Yeah.
I think it's always the player, but just because, I mean, really, any great player can do anything regardless of the instrument that you have. Like, why do you play this guitar? Why do you play that guitar? You know, a great player could make any instrument sound
Yeah.
good. That's what I truly believe.
Right.
But that's at a at the core level, and that to me should go without saying. Now, you want to add a little spice to your plate. You want to add a little color to your painting or a little something extra textures. That's all that it is, at least for me, exploring these different textures.
Right.
And like I said, exploring, experimenting doesn't mean it's going to work. Just because I got this new pedal doesn't mean it's the be all end all. It's like, well, how could this inspire me, or how could this, how much fun could this be for me?
But is there a point, and I'm just throwing that out, is there a point where experimentation becomes just kind of like going nowhere, and it's just you really aren't on any direction, you're just experimenting, and then you really never settle on anything? You don't ever establish a sound, you don't ever establish a feel or a style, you know what I mean? Like, is it just constantly searching for something that you're never going to reach because you keep passing it up or keep changing lanes or making turns or whatever?
Who knows? I mean, I look at this as your musicianship should be priority.
Right.
So
that's a good point.
And it's like that's what you should work to improve on every day.
Right.
Now, how that musicianship is presented, that's when I start looking at the different textures and colors with, different instruments, different amps, different pedals. I wouldn't want to rely on any of that in particular, but it is a fun part of what we do.
Yeah.
And I would consider that with when you eat a particular dish, or you're going to talk about food. You like the variety, and you can have different spices on the same dish,
Mm-hmm.
or a similar dish, and it changes everything.
Yeah, like a pizza. Just take a pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still pizza.
Yeah, you never get tired of pizza,
Right.
but you wouldn't mind changing it up every now and then, a few different toppings here and there. But got to make sure your crust is still what it is. The sauce needs to be on point. See what I mean?
That's your musicianship. Right
there you go.
That's the musicianship. The crust, the dough, the sauce and the cheese.
Hey,
The base. That's your musicianship, and then whatever you throw on top of it is all the other gear.
Yeah, in
and
so many words.
experimentation.
Yeah, we can put it like
That's
that.
a good analogy. I like it.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. And interestingly enough, the song that I heard on Spotify, Jesse,
Yeah.
is the one song I think we ever recorded together where I play tons of different instruments, not instruments, but tons of different toys, basically, on
percussion
toys,
sounds, and,
percussion sounds and knickknacks and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Right, and and it's fun to have that, right? But
Yeah.
but you're not going to do that on every single song.
No.
So it's
You know,
kinda
the
like
one
that.
thing I do ponder using more is a cowbell. I've never been a cowbell guy,
Uh-huh.
but there are definitely, parts where I can hear cowbell going in there,
Yeah.
and but I'm almost stubborn right now, also, to not bring more stuff in, bring more gear in that I don't use a cowbell. But I know there would be parts where it's not necessary.
Well,
You know
see,
what I
here's
mean?
the thing.
I'm also under that, like, it's not necessary, so I don't need it. But it would sound good. And one of my favorite drummers is also David Garibaldi.
Mhm. Oh, he's great.
God. Like, he's the one who makes me want to add stuff like a cowbell. That's all basically he has different than what I use.
Right.
He's pretty minimal too. It's like a 5-piece drum set and some cymbals, a couple more cymbals than I have. Basically,
It's funny how
cowbell.
It's funny that you're mentioning cowbell
Yeah.
because when I'm scanning stations or out and about, and you hear an old song, especially from the '70s. There's been a couple of songs that I thought, I just never noticed the cowbell. Kind of buried in there, but
Yeah.
it's there.
It is there, yeah.
And that's one approach. Or you could do like a Rage Against the Machine approach too.
Yeah.
A couple songs where they,
Yeah. Or a
they'll
Twisted
feature
Sister
that.
approach. That's got to be there. You got to do it. Or the Blue Oyster Cult approach.
Yeah.
The more cowbell. Can't talk about cowbell anymore without saying more cowbell. Let's just get it out there and be cheesy.
Yeah. Well, so is that what you're going to do? You don't have one permanently on your set, right?
I do not.
All right.
I have one. Actually, it's yours.
That's gonna actually change. You're gonna have to mount it on your set and then incorporate that.
You know what I worry about though? Well, I don't worry about this because I'm conscious of it, but I do notice that when some people get something like a cowbell,
It's everywhere.
yeah, like a cowbell or a china, like a china cymbal,
Yeah.
they overplay it, they overuse it. You know what I mean?
I love China's.
Okay,
Yeah,
I do too.
right. Yeah.
I do too, but like Lars Ulrich, he has a china and he way overplays it, in my opinion. Like, he uses it as a ride cymbal all the time. He doesn't have a ride cymbal. He just uses this big china, and it's just like noise to me. There's no tact there with it, and that's one thing I don't want, these little gimmicky things, just because I'm conscious of it, so I won't overplay it, but I just don't want that temptation to overplay it.
It sounds like you're a little pent up there and
I
restrained.
am. I know.
You need to loosen up, man.
I do got to loosen up.
Loosen up and not worry about it. Here's the thing: if you get your china or your cowbell and you overplay it and you hear it, you'll correct yourself.
I will.
You'll self-correct.
No.
You're self-aware enough.
Yes, I know this about these things.
Yeah,
and
but you're not going to not get something because you're scared you're going to overuse it.
No,
Just do it.
no, I'm not.
Even
Like
if
I
it's-
said, I already have a cowbell that I could use tomorrow. Let's say.
All right, mount it.
But I don't have it. I used to have a china. I used to have a china cymbal when I was a teenager. I think I overplayed it when I had it.
Oh, there you go. So
Yeah.
you're scarred. You're scarred from your own experiences.
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed with myself that I did it. So I'm like, I ruined it for myself. I mean, but there is a time and place for those things too. See, now you got me thinking of experimentation myself. Now I'm sitting here thinking, wow, what do I play now that I can use a china on?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's
It is
a
a good thing. You've see, this is what the couch is for.
Yeah, it's the
This is
guy-
why I bring these things up, man.
I didn't
This
know
therapy session
when we
podcast.
When we
This is
put
what
the
it turned
couch here in
into.
the studio, was for the guests. I didn't realize it was going to be used for therapy.
That's what
But
it
hey,
was.
you know what? If it works, it works.
I feel good now.
So, all right.
So, we're just about out of time.
Yeah,
What did just really quickly, a couple of things. I've noticed that our old friend Alexa Merrill has been busy. She's been doing some things where not podcast. I guess you would call it like a video blog of her own
uh-huh.
on YouTube. I've been
Nice.
seeing that. I think she calls it Wicked on Wednesdays. So
All
I want
right.
to give her a little shout out because
yeah.
she's an old friend of ours. She,
Absolutely.
Um,
Guys, check it out.
she actually, I think she played a couple of shows too recently. So she's been doing well. She's got a little something going. So good
Cool.
for her.
Cool. Hey, you and Chris, aside from the stuff that we do, you have you guys are part of another band
Correct.
too, and you
Correct.
guys got stuff going on as well.
Yeah, we're coming out. There's a CD coming out, a new release. Actually, we're having a CD release party tomorrow. Should I plug it? Really?
I don't know. We're going to post it tomorrow, I think. But in any case, what's the name of the band? And what's the name of the CD?
The band is named Grandpa's Grass. Grampas. Grandpa's, not Grandpa. Grandpa's Grass. And the CD is called Greener. The grass is greener. And our faces are prominently on the front of the CD cover.
Are you smiling?
Yeah, well, you know what we did? We were at the Orange County Fair,
Mm-hmm.
all of us, and we kind of went into those photo booths. So there was like a strip of photos. And,
as
and
opposed
so,
to having a professional photographer.
Yeah, that's how you do it on the cheap. And so the whole album, the front cover of the CD is just those strips of photos. So there's like 5 photos of each of us doing various faces. Except for me, I don't really have many different faces. Can I tell you, honestly, I don't think I've ever gone in a photo booth before. So I wasn't prepared for... Well, first of all, I don't do the whole face making thing. You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking of that. I was just thinking, okay, take some pictures. And those things take pictures like every 3 seconds. So all I did was I basically have my hat on for 2 of them and my hat off for the other 2. And like a slight smile in 2 of them and a non-really smile in the other.
Way to go
it's
for
very
variety.
boring. Yeah. There's nothing interesting about my picture, but I'm on the front cover anyway. So Grandpa's Grass, Greener is the CD. Tomorrow is the unofficial, actually. It's not quite going to be official, but we're going to play a show tomorrow. Chris will be there.
When's the official? When you say official, you mean available to everybody?
I think mid-September. I think mid.
Still right around the corner.
Yeah, it's this month. So tomorrow I think is just for local people, fans of the band who've been around for a while.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's something like that. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we got to bug Chris and see where his the openings in his schedule is.
Yes. Yeah, because this is fun, and Chris needs to come back.
Yes.
Do you have a message from Chris or anything like that?
Do I got a message from
anything?
Chris?
Has he mentioned anything recently? Have you got in touch with him for anything? Nothing?
It's been a while. It's been long.
All right.
If we're getting paid.
Wait. What? Was that?
I dig it.
Is that Chris?
That's Chris.
Hey.
Detroit.
Oh, of course, that's Chris. Yeah, he can't go 5 minutes without saying Detroit. God.
He's always in his Detroit swag.
Yeah, he never. Detroit today.
Represent.
All
right, but yeah, we got to get him in here.
Yeah, and in the meantime, go check out some of our older episodes with Chris on them, and with other people on them too. Some of our old friends, our old bands. Yeah, old band friends of ours, RJ. Remember RJ?
Oh,
RJ's doing stuff. We met him at the Sound Collective.
Yeah, in fact, there's a lot of artists we got to get on here too. There's a lot of great artists doing some good things.
Eileen Emerine, I know she's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's just it's making that schedule work, you know. So we'll find the time for that, and we'll get it out there and start lining them up. Yeah,
tuneupandjam.com.
Yep.
Has some of the old episodes where you can check out some old bands and us with Chris, Alexa, various people.
Yeah. Podcast at tuneupandjam.com is the email. You can find us online. It's not too hard. Facebook, etc., Instagram. Sure.
That's it.
All right.
So I guess that's it. Another good episode. It was fun still.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad the couch served its purpose.
It did. It got it all out of me. It just opened up my mind.
Cool.
And I feel better now. I think I'm going to go have some pizza.
Good. All right.